there and they tell you who their nominating committee has chosen. Well, 4 women got nominated from the floor. Those 4 women won the election, but they were in the book. I mean, we had our book. They were prepared. They had already put their ads in the book. They had their setups all over. They had gotten their advertising out, and their speaking was much better than the ones who were up with the nominating committee. So I'm happy with our choice for them, and we'll see how that goes. And then we also voted on some.
You can go sit down now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sit down. Sheriff's in town. Have a seat for just a second, and you can continue.
Yes, sir. I'm done. We good.
Well, I'm glad you're done already. Hello, ladies.
Howdy.
Come on, we do better. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
All right. That sounds good. It sounds a little bit better. Hello. I'm the sheriff. Here, I'm pretty sure you probably remember me.
That's over for sure.
1863. Looks like you do remember me. Now, I was invited here today to tell a few ghost stories, tell some stuff about Griffin, not today's Griffin. I don't hold a gun like this. I hold a gun like that. Now, big difference. Y'all know what I mean. We're not going to get into that part. Griffin today is nothing like it was in 1863. It was nothing like it was in 1861. Don't be touching that cow, but I hate to put the cow down. Got some good steaks tonight. I'm glad Raggedy Ann's here. Right? Now, anybody know anything about ghost stories or whatever? Raggedy Ann, the little Raggedy Ann doll, was a horror story that had nothing to do with a doll that wanted everybody's little kids to come enjoy it. But what they done, they took that doll and said, "Oh, I think that we can push this to market, and all little kid will love it." And guess what happened? That's what happened. But the true story is that story was a horror story. It was based on a murder. And the murder was in 1792. Okay, 1792, and it was actually listed in Mississippi. The Mississippi doll was based on the fact, and it was based on a black child. It was not based on a white child. It was based on the fact that we don't have to say this. I guess we're all Republican Party here. We all know what's going on. At that one time or another, they weren't very welcome back then. As much as I hate that, human nature is human nature. You know what I'm saying? It is a bad thing, whatever way you look at it. Anyway, this child was and they called her Raggedy Ann. That's how the story got there. Now, Griffin, Georgia, on the other hand, a little bit of horror, a little bit of crazy stuff that happened back in the 1860s. And by the way, before I even go anything, my real name is Joey Roberts. Not a character. Hello, everybody. Okay. I'm from Thomaston, Georgia. I'm just your neighbor across the street. I know how y'all folks are about the other towns. They go, "Oh, the hell with Thomaston." Right? And then Thomaston folks are like, "The hell with Griffin." So you know how they are. So, I own haunted history tours in Thomaston. I do ghost tours in Thomaston. Matter of fact, I've got I guess it's the chamber person. Somebody's been talking to them about maybe bringing us over here. Love to come over here in Griffin because there's so much history here. It's just like Thomaston. There's so much. Pike County, it was what they called a aftermark. That means it was an in-between town. It was just something they just went through. But you got to understand, in 1863, there wasn't nothing really there anyway but cornfields. Upson County and Spalding County and I guess what you would consider Butler, Georgia, was a main part of the towns at that time. Yatesville, Georgia. Anybody ever heard of Yatesville?
On
They
land
have the
there.
chitlin hoedown over there.
On land there.
I know you look like you like some chitlins.
I do.
Do you?
Yeah.
That figures. I don't like corn. Boy, that's wrong, man. Anybody ever ate chitlins here? Everybody ever cooked them? ever cleaned them. Let me tell you something. My grandmother used to cook them things, and when you walk in the house, it's like, whoo, she'd be boiling them things. But the thing about it was, I ate them then because when she was alive, I know who cleaned them. You understand? I don't know who cleans them now, so guess what? I ain't eating them. Yeah, that's why I said I don't like corn. Anyway, now, in them days of Thomaston, I was talking about Yatesville. Yatesville was a big town for peaches. That's the reason why Georgia is known for the peach capital of the world. Okay, because you would not believe where Yatesville, Georgia, how many peaches come out of that. So many. And the reason why they call it Yatesville is because of Mr. Yates. Mr. Yates run that place over there, and he was multi-millionaire, making sure that the trains come through and they put peaches on there. Now, a lot of people don't understand that Yatesville, Georgia, and Thomaston, Georgia, is what you call the midway of the South. You know why it was the midway of the South? Because I'm looking for some new night ladies. We'll talk later. Call red light ladies. Why are you looking at me like that? I'll talk to you later. Cane or no cane? There you go. Now, midway point of Thomaston and Yatesville is because you'll remember during the Civil War, what was there? And trains. What was in World War I? Trains. World War II, trains. Vietnam, trains. So, if you take the map, you put right dead center of Georgia. Upson County is dead center. All right, in my ghost tours, I tell everybody about my 19 cat houses I had down there in Upson County. And when I was the sheriff in 1863, when I played the part of the dead sheriff during my ghost tours, I let them know about my cat houses. I was very proud about them whorehouses. Very proud. I took money from them. Okay? So let's go back a little bit. I knew the part of the dead sheriff in Upson County. In Upson County that I do these ghost tours, in 1863 of October the 13th, and what is today? Because when she called me and told me that we were doing this on October 13th, it tickled me to death. I said, y'all people don't understand. And she said, what are you talking about? I said, that's the day that the sheriff died. And that's the part that I'm playing today. And I was like, this is tickling the crap out of me. I was like, this is fun. I was like, this is just, but it's odd though. It really is. So now, here I am dressed up as the dead sheriff, and he got murdered today. Okay. If anybody knows anything about Westerns, and a lot of people...
Mr. Nobody.
That's awesome. Anyway, Mr. Nobody? Is that
Yeah.
what it is? Okay. Now, anyway, in anybody know about Western? John Wesley Hardin. Probably one of the worst outlaws there ever was. His brother was named Dale Hardin. He came through Upson County, was heading to Kansas. He got to Kansas, and when he did, I don't know why I said Kansas, Missouri. He was heading to Missouri, and he was killing people, stealing horses, raping women, etc., etc. But all that stuff that he done, and I'm sure that you probably know what I'm talking about. You were around there. Anyway, in 1863, what was the main thing that was very important back then?
Civil War.
No. Yeah, yes, it was. But what was the main thing? Of course, you gotta have transportation. That's what done your gardens. That's got you transportation. It's a numerous of things. So stealing a horse back then was, we're taking your head off. We're hanging you. You could get hung for doing this. But on top of this man was hanging children. He was raping children. He was raping women. He was robbing banks. He was stealing horses. This guy was bad. The thing about it is, anybody ever heard of Manchester, Georgia? Yeah. That's where he was from. So he decided to come to Upson County and do a few things, and then he started going towards Missouri. Well, me and two other posse guys from the sheriff's department decided to go towards Missouri and got him. Brought him back to Upson County. Actually, no, excuse me, brought him back to Manchester. They said he had family there. They wanted him out of that county, so they took him to Upson County to be hung at the courthouse. The courthouse was not fixed at that time because of, who said it? That's right, no money. I don't remember that back then. The South was very poor at that time. Okay? only half the courthouse was built, and that's the south side of that. And that was it. The rest of it was not finished. But that's where they were hanging folks. Matter of fact, the first person ever hung there was a woman. And she was a witch. And then during my tour, we have a lady that does a witch part. And as kids, and I know y'all remember this story, and y'all remember when the lights getting a little low and the sun's getting ready to go down, you tell your mom or your grandparents, go, we're gonna get home before daybreak. Soap Sally's gonna get you. Remember Soap Sally, the witch?
Yep.
Thing about it is, anybody ever heard of Goat Mountain? Goat Mountain was on the south side between Upson County. That's where the Boy Scouts camp is there. That's where Soap Sally lived at, up on the top of the mountain over there. Her name was Christine Spoon. She was a real lady. She was a real witch. Okay? She even said she was a witch. Now, back we tell our story during our ghost tour. You take that, and the reason why they call her Soap Sally is you take what they call juvenile blood, and it cannot be like grown up blood because our blood is different than a child. Okay? You take that, you cut them up, put them in a big old pot, and boil them. What does it consist of? Life. What is life? So, there you go. That's why they called her Soap Sally, because she was found several kids that come up missing. And that's what happened. That's the true story. Okay? So we have a lady that plays the part of the Soap Sally witch, and we tell stories about that. It's fun. Good stories, but it ain't fun about the story. Now, going back to Yatesville, a lot of people coming through this town. World War I, World War II, had to stop in, more moonshine and more women than you could ever imagine. No matter from the Civil War all the way to Vietnam. That's where Upson County was known for. And that's the truth. Now, I don't know if you want to just kind of say, hey, yeah, we're known as women and that, but no, we're not. You know what we're known for? This is crazy. Y'all folks from Griffin, you're going to think this is crazy. What is Upson County known for? October 20th this month, we're having a festival. We're doing a live gunfight up there on the square like we've been doing. My father owned the Thomaston Gunfighters in the 70s, and I took over after he passed. It's called Mule Days. So we're a bunch of asses. Ain't that something? Okay. Now, but that is crazy. It's Mule Days. In Barnesville, they have a festival. What is it called? Why do you think Upson County and Thomaston back then got along so fine? You had to have buggies, but what'd you have to carry it? There you go. Horses, so much. If you could afford a horse to carry it, that was great. You got to realize money was tight back then in the South. Most horses just starved to death because they didn't have a way of feeding. Civil War was bad. Horrible for everybody. One out of every household in the whole South, one person died during the Civil War. And probably more. So, Yatesville, you got that? Upson County, we're asses. And then you look at Spalding County. What's known for Spalding County? I hate to say this to you. Barnesville was buggies, Upson County was mules. What was Griffin known for? But what do you put that as? Murders. Golly, it kind of sounds like it is now, don't it? Ain't much changed, has it? Griffin, Georgia is kind of bad right this second. I hate to say that, but it is. That's not being mean, it's the truth. Now, back in the day for Doc Holliday, before Doc Holliday, what were we known for? Same thing, murders. Now, anybody know where old Woody, I love old Woody, he lives in Thomaston now. He's with me over there. Yeah, he lives over there. He bought the theater and everything is over in Thomaston, so he's living in Upson County now. He moved his cars and everything that way. I don't know why he does that. But anyway, old Woody, he owned the Doc Hollidays. He still owns the building and everything. But does anybody know what was on the top of that building of the bar? Does anybody know? That was the original dentist office. Matter of fact, I do ghost stories and stuff. So, and I do ghost stories, and I have women that walk with me, and I have two mediums. And and they're real deal people. They scare the hell out of me. There's one woman, she's like, there's somebody behind you. I'm like, quit talking to me. I'm here to have fun, not to scare my own self. You know? But there's a little drummer boy that when we go to the cemetery in Thomaston, when we're doing the ghost walks, we have one on the 28th. So everybody, I already got like almost 100 people signed up. So we usually do 150 people for Halloween. So we walk around, we go into the graveyard. Now there's a drummer boy during the Civil War that's buried. And she's got this little machine, and it's showing stuff and everything. And every time I do this little boy is right here behind me the whole time. And what's so funny, I'm telling my stories right here, and I feel something do this. And it pulls me back, because she said, he just pulled your jacket. And I'm like, no kidding. It is very, that cemetery was put there in 1722. People do not understand how old Upson County and how old Spalding County is. Okay? Now, going back to Spalding County, known for murders. Talking about Doc Holliday. The dentist office was up on top of where Doc Holliday's bar is. So I had a friend of mine went up there. What's still in there? Not now. It's been taken out in the last 5 years. What was up there? His dentist chair was still there. He was still there after all these years. And he was still in great shape. That's what was so fascinating. The wood had almost fallen apart around the floors, but the dentist chair was still bolted to the floor. That's great. But here's the thing. So we're up there, we're trying to clean up some stuff. Woody said, I need this done, this done, this done. I'm like, okay. We get over there, the chair is sitting this way, and it's looking straight out the window, looking down. So Woody decided to put a mannequin up there in the front where it looked like Doc Holliday was up there, and I'm like, that's very creepy. So anyway, so we're in there, we're cleaning up, we walk back in over there, the doll had fell, and the chair had turned this way. Now, I don't know about y'all, if you ever been in a barber chair or a dentist chair, they're very heavy. Stainless steel. I'm telling you, there's no way that could have just moved just to be moving. Okay, coincidence. We just freaked out, but we were like, okay, let's get through cleaning up. We heard something else come back, and it didn't turn back the other way. And I said, it's time to get the hell out. Goodbye. And I never went back up there. And then I found out later that Woody donated it to the Welcoming Center.
Yeah.
That's where it's at. Is that correct?
Yes.
It's over there.
I think it's upstairs.
And so,
Museum.
anyway, murders. But here's the thing. You could go to, I guess, guys, y'all, the computer age, you can go to YouTube, you can go on. There's 100 stories about Griffin, and it's all murders. That's what it, and I hate to say that, but Spalding County was just a rough town back then. And right there where Doc Holliday's is at, in that barbershop, that whole area right there was so bad. Now, I want you to go one street over. I'm not real familiar. I had to go look myself. And I seen this about 2 years ago. If you're at Doc Holliday's and go one street over to the right, that's where the Welcoming Center's at. If you go straight down that road, past the Japanese restaurant and go down, and you're gonna hit the railroad tracks. As you hit the railroad tracks, there's a building to the left. Be looking to the left. When you start looking to the left, there's some property right there, but you see this stone wall. It's about this big, and then it gets bigger, 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 bigger. The reason why they started to try to build a fort there. A lot of people don't even know this. They tried to build a fort there, but because of during the Civil War, they just could not continue. They had to have men to go fight. They went to the top side of Virginia. Griffin did. That's the Griffin, I think 204. Griffin 204 went to fight. The Confederates did to go fight up north, and they were on the north side of Virginia. At I think 6,000 troops from Spalding County come back. I think only 200 came back. It's a lot. Now, when this was going on, a lot of prisoners were taken hostage, and they were Yanks. And they were coming through. A few things got said. Griffin, Georgia didn't put up with that. They just shoot them dead cold right there in the middle of the street. Now, if you were captured, does anybody know where they were going?
Andersonville.
Oh, you're good. You're good. You know where Andersonville is, don't you? That's a horrible place. You can just ride by it and your hair just lifts up on your skin. Just riding by there. It is so messed up. Because if you pull up in that driveway, the human eye cannot see the end of that place. That is the truth. You ever been to Andersonville? I mean, it's devastating. It is a bad thing. Don't get me wrong, it was Yanks and stuff. Nobody, I don't think anybody should have deserved to die for what we were fighting for. So, Upson County, we talked about. Griffin is known for murders. Yanksville is known for peaches and trains. Now, does anybody know the reason why the Civil War was even started? And I don't want to hear nothing about no slavery, because that's not true. Slavery was not what it started. Does anybody know the reason why? And I can prove it if anybody has any questions about that. Because I have some in my ghost tour that the first thing they say is slavery. No, it wasn't. And they go, well, it was about that, but does anybody know the reason why it started though? Anybody know why? Somebody got pissed off with this guy and this guy. What did it start about?
Well, they shot people with the, down in Fort Sumter? Yeah.
Well, that's what began. That's what began. But what I want to tell, I'm going to educate every one of you. There we go. Civil War started in April of 1861, correct? Yes. All right. Fort Sumter, the first shot was fired. Does anybody know where that ball was at after it was discovered? Go to Upson County, go around the courthouse, look on the right-hand side, you'll see that ball. That is the original ball. It's cemented on that stone. You can't miss it. It is the original ball. You can look on the website. Upson County has got some serious history. Spalding County does too. Not saying nothing bad about it, but it does. A lot of these counties right here have so much history. Now, here we go. I'm going to educate you about why the Civil War was started. Now, of 1860, there was an African ship called the Liberty that was coming from Africa. And what do you think was on it? Only 3. Only 3 was on there. But does anybody else know what was on that ship?
Gold?
Who said that?
I did.
Well, you.
I'm
You
good.
gonna give her a
No, she don't get a.
Oh, shit, you ain't diabetic, are you?
Well, that doesn't stop me.
What did she say?
Gold.
I mean, no, gold. Gold.
Cookies and gold.
Cookies and gold.
The cookies, not really. They might have been cookies. Now, gold. And it was over $7 billion at that time. Can you imagine what it is now? It's probably in the hundreds of billions of dollars. Now, the reason why that gold was there, because where was it found? Africa. And they sending it back. There was a huge storm that came through. And when this storm came through, this was in January of 1861. It took a long time to get from there to there. You think about carrying out all that gold. Anybody ever picked up a bar of gold? It's heavy. 1 bar. Could you imagine that much being on a ship? The only reason why they had 3 slaves there, they got to have something on there. That was just an excuse. Now, they get there, the storm is at the Atlantic. They finally made it on that side, and they crashed up onto a land. Does anybody know where this was at? Anybody ever heard of Jekyll Island? Does anybody know that Jekyll Island has a little private island on the side? It is the richest island in the whole United States. What's that?
Milton.
Thank you. Do you know who built this place? Yeah, you do. You just don't realize you know it. All the rich a-holes that you could ever imagine built that place.
Yeah.
What happened to gold?
Well, that's what we're fixing to go back to. Now, it hit land. We got 3 slaves on it. Got a ship master, and you got a few of the workers on there. Well, all of a sudden, wow! Anybody remember 911, 2001?
Oh, yeah.
Everybody remember when the day before 911, what was the guy's name? His name was, you said it.
Milton.
Wow, isn't that funny how Mr. Milton was sitting on the tower on the left side and $6 million of one money come up and like $12 billion come up missing? Y'all remember that? You remember hearing about it? That was the day before 911. And what happened the next day? Man, no, that way there's no way of finding out any records. Isn't that crazy? Now, here we go. History repeats itself. 1860, they come. 1861, they crash. What happened to the gold? We don't know. Nobody knows. Maybe, but I doubt it. Let me tell you why. We just talked about it. What was built there? Nicest resort in the whole world. Jekyll Island. Wow, how'd they build that? That's kind of funny, ain't it? Now, you know who these people were? Good Lord, boy, y'all are good. Yes. That. Now, does anybody know where the first Mason lodge in the whole United States was? Close?
St. Simon.
Close?
Brunswick.
Nope, you're going the wrong way.
Upson County.
No. Savannah, Georgia. Has anybody ever heard of the Pink House?
Oh, yeah.
That was the first Mason's lodge. Wow. When did the first Mason's lodge come about? 1866. Oh. Wow. Isn't that crazy? Putting one and one together now, ain't you? Now, all this money is sitting somewhere. Nobody knows where it's at. Now, this money come crashing. Lincoln and the rest of his crew wants to know where the gold's at. Where's the gold at? We don't know. Guess what started? A fight. On one side of the wing of the White House was still not, remember, it still wasn't completely built. Remember that? There in the White House. You remember, you were there. one half of the others, I'm just picking on you.
She's used to it.
You good with this, right? You were there, okay. You're good sport. Good sport. We're getting her two cookies. Two cookies for her. Okay. You ain't diabetic, right? Give her 3. Let's take her place. Okay, now, Civil War's done got started. They're fighting, but they were fighting for rights. Why did slavery come up? What was the purpose of the whole slavery? They had to have an excuse. And there's your excuse. Did we tell you who started that? Maine. The governor of Maine said, I'm just going to blame it on slavery. And guess what? Maine was a Confederate state. It was not a Union state. Way up there, they didn't believe in what Lincoln and them was doing. But what was the other reason why? Right after that, they had to have a reason. Who put the hit on Lincoln? Who is the person that killed Lincoln? But what was the reason why Lincoln died? Does anybody know? It's a proven fact. You can go to any history stuff and prove it. It's a proven fact, what I'm going to tell you. Who's the person? John Wilkes Booth killed him. What? Who gave him the hit? Does anybody know?
The Masons.
Oh, that's close. That's close. But you're gonna believe this because this is God's truth. Now, you think about this. What'd you have to have back then that grew in the South to make clothing?
Cotton.
Boy, that was manufactured in that the South. The South took that stuff all over the world. Correct?
Yeah.
Now, who was the main transporter back then for the United States? Right. What was something else? Ships, that's right. And who was the main supplier at that time? Everybody ready? England. Somebody's fitting to put one and one together here in just a second. Who put the hit on Lincoln?
The king.
Who said that? Who said that? The Queen.
Queen Victoria.
Queen Victoria.
Yeah,
Wow.
that was before the other queen. Yep, you are so correct. She wanted his head because no cotton's coming in. We don't have a way of making clothing. There was other stuff that they were transporting, vegetables and all kind of stuff, because the stuff grew a lot. And it provided to other people. They put it on a ship in North Carolina, boom, it was gone. Within 2 weeks, it's there. Now it quit. Now it's stopped over for a year. Now it has stopped over for 2 years. Now it's stopped over 3 years. Now it's stopped over 4 years. And if I was the queen, I'd been like, off with his head. And by God, instead of off with his head, they just put one in his head. And I don't know if anybody knows this, being that we're the Republican Party here today, correct? Correct. So I love y'all. There we go. So I guess we're not fans of Mr. Biden here, are we? So does everybody here understand how bad this man is, especially after hearing the news today about how he's trying to give money to Iran? So, and somebody needs to do something with this man. Okay, now. You're the one's got the gun. Okay. Don't say that too loud. I do want to go home today. So, Mr. Nobody back there. That's just hilarious. Anyway, so Lincoln was no better than Biden. I've read up on some stuff with this man. I love history, guys. Y'all just do not understand. You would not believe the time I have spent in the archives in Upson County, here in Griffin, other areas that I try to learn things from. And I've really done some real good research, not the bull crap you hear on the internet, because 90% of that usually ain't true, because if they want to tell you that, they would tell you Jesus was the Antichrist. That's how they are, okay? Now, but I read up some stuff with him. He was horrible, horrible man, a horrible person. The only good thing about it is that I like him because I was a professional wrestler for 34 years on TV. And he was a wrestler inside the White House. They said they used to put mats on the bottom of the White House and he'd go fight down there. I thought that was cool. Theodore Roosevelt was the same way. Said he was a mean person. I would have loved him. So, now, Lincoln was no better than the rest of them. Now, horrible person, so somebody had to die. You understand? I hate it had to be the president. I hate that things like that happen. Things happen for a reason. Now, who was the first president that ever got assassinated? Does anybody know? Come on, guys, you can do this. Who was the first president ever assassinated? President Garfield. Who's the second president? Lincoln. Third president?
Kennedy.
No.
Nobody else assassinated somebody.
You are correct. So, what? You finna say something? Yeah, you were.
I couldn't hear what she said, so,
What,
you
what,
know.
you were finna say something, and probably what I was finna say. What was you finna say?
It wasn't,
A lot, and here's, I already.
McKinley.
See, 90% of people don't even know there was 4 assassinations. Only reason why they don't put that in the history books, he was only president for 3 weeks. So they really didn't even consider, it's like a marriage. When you get married, you got 2 butts. If not, it's a normal. It's the same thing with being a president. Oh, it's a normal, oh, the hell with him, throw it out. We'll just get a new president, okay? And that's what happened. And who was his assistant? Adams. Adams was the president right after him. So that's, thank God. Give her another cookie. All right, if you want one. All right, so here's the thing. Now, got the Civil War, got that moved on, going into the early days of the 1900s. Can you imagine what it was like back then? No trees around, no nothing. You gotta remember, Sherman came through Griffin right here. He destroyed Griffin. He tore Griffin apart, man. He did not go to Upson County, thank God. He went east. He went towards Culloden, moved on back that way, and then went a little bit northeast. And he went that way going towards Savannah. And he just made his trail of destruction all the way through. Anybody ever heard of Gray, Georgia? Yeah. Or if you go to Gray, Georgia, there's a lot of areas. They even do the Civil War reenactment right there. Okay, it's all fun. They show you what happened in a few days when Sherman was there, and Sherman destroyed that town. Okay, there was a place called Robertsville. It was right there by, Roberts Station. It was right by the railroad track. They had a butcher shop. They had this, and that. It was a promise to the president not to kill livestock and a few kids. What did they do? The opposite. There was kids killed, livestock killed. How was anybody supposed to eat or drink milk? Nothing. Can't do it. Sherman was a horrible person. But when they hung him in his own land in his house, I'm sure it didn't hurt anybody. You know who hung him? His own people. The Union hung him. Because you know why? He said he felt bad, got a conscience. he got a conscience after the war was over. He said, I can't believe I done that. And I said, whatever, hang it. That's what I say, right? Shouldn't have done it. All you had to do is say no, correct? Everybody's got a way to say yes or no. Now, today we're gonna talk about one other thing. Family. It's like y'all a close family here. Like y'all know each other real well. Y'all must have, anybody ever grow up with each other around here? Any of y'all? Y'all grow up with each other? Y'all known each other a long time, it looks like.
This high school camp.
We're old.
What was that?
It's high school
We don't
camp.
have to go back to
Really?
kids.
Who was your teacher?
No, but she wasn't much older than we were.
She was your teacher?
Well, she wasn't much older than we were.
Holy hell. So I was right. I don't even know what gave me the instinct to tell me. So I'm gonna be real nosy. If you just tell me to shut up, I'll shut up. I won't hurt my feelings. How young are you?
95.
Holy hell. Sweetheart, I bet you've seen a lot, haven't you? You've seen a lot. Oh, you've traveled a lot? Overseas? All right, you ever go to France? Loved it. You know, I told you I wrestled all them years, and I used to travel when I was on TV, and that was my favorite place to go to all the time. Was France. I loved that place.
My favorite place is Prague.
Prague, okay.
Home of Charles
Yeah, I know where it's at.
University. Established, and I taught in a building that was built in 1492.
Wow.
The steps.
That's not the year you were born, right? Okay. That's crazy. That is amazing.
We have a lot of history in this room.
Y'all got well, just her alone, Lord, I mean, but,
You
yeah.
ever been to
How old are you,
Bucharest?
young lady?
You talking to her?
No, you.
87.
You about 42?
Thank you. I want my picture made with you.
Get one more when you're done. That's fine with me. Just keep your hands to yourself. Rubbing on my leg. This bulldog, go dogs. That's right. I love her. That's right. Now, any Alabama fans in here? Get out.
There's always one
I
in
knew
every
I brought that gun for a reason. Yeah. How young are you, sweetie?
Pardon?
How young are you?
I was turned 86 in September.
Holy hell, you don't look no better than 70 years old.
Everybody says that, huh?
She loves to hear that.
Wow.
I feel 55. How old are you?
Anybody else over 80 years old? Is anybody?
Anybody else
You're
over
over
80?
80? Y'all were over 80 years old? Damn, I don't know what y'all drinking, but y'all sure don't look like y'all would be over 80.
Because I'm from Alabama, baby, that's the reason.
Oh, Alabama, that's a whole different, that's just moonshine and crazy.
No, I really from Mississippi.
Yeah, okay, that's even worse.
Well,
That's where they hung everybody. All right, you go to Upson County, I want you to go all the way to Circle K. Take a right, that's Jeff Davis Road. If you go halfway down, you'll see the fire department. If you see the fire department, take the first road to the right. You're gonna see a sleazy ass trailer park right there to the left. As you pull into that trailer park, look to the right, there's the only tree that is standing there. It is the size of a transfer truck. That's how big it is. It's been there hundreds and hundreds of years. You know, they say that when you cut it, you can actually count the rings. Well, one of the limbs fell off this thing was the size of a tree when it fell off, and they said that they quit after 200. That was a limb. How old is this thing? So anyway, guess what that was?
hanging tree.
That was the hanging tree of Upson County. Now, if you go down the road, go all the way, I'm gonna tell this last ghost story, then I gotta go, because I gotta go to work. I hope y'all understand. So, you go down Jeff Davis Road, go past the bridge. These Alabama folks. Now,
Acting like she's being bad.
that's fine, it was just, all right. You go down, when you pass the bridge, the very first road to the right, if you look to the left, there's some lakes right there, people go fishing there. But on the right-hand side, if you, just as you turn on this road, look to the left, you're gonna see a block building, and it's about the size of a toilet. You know these outside porta potties? It's about 3 of them put together. That's the size of it. That was the county jail. Okay? Now, when I say it was county jail, there was no pisser in there, no nothing. It was just bars, cement. Congratulations, that's all. Nothing else. So anyway, when you got in trouble or you were doing whatever you know, they just took you there until the sheriff or his deputy could come and take you to the other jail, the main jail. Does anybody know where the tag office is at in Upson County? Well, that was the jail. Now, so they quit hanging people at the courthouse. You walk into the tag office and walk about 30 feet. Look straight up, you'll see a piece of plywood. They kept that plywood there for a reason. So when you walked upstairs and you were found guilty, they had a little lever and put a noose over your neck and
Didn't waste no time.
down. So the Griffin, anybody know where the annex is here in Griffin? Yep, they done the same exact thing. Same thing. If you go to the second floor of the annex here in Griffin, look straight up. You're gonna see a circle that was painted on the wall, just like a spray paint circle. That's it. They done that for a reason. That way you know where it was at. Anyway, you walk inside the annex. Cha-ching, like playing lottery. But it wasn't good for the other person. No. Okay. Now, here we go. We just talked about Jeff Davis, the most haunted place. I get all these questions all the time. What's the most haunted story? What's the most haunted thing you ever witnessed or done in your life? So much as a witness of it, I have been there, walked in there. Me and a friend had a camera, put brand new batteries in it. As we were in the car, walked to the car, and the thing died. And I had already been told about the stories. The reason why, because I lived one street over my whole life. My father, who owned the Thomaston Gunfighters, was in charge of the EMC there, electric company. My dad could tell you more stories about that place than anybody in life. They called this place the Devil's Playground. If you look it up in the book, you'll see it says Upson County. Now, there was a man. Everybody ever heard of Hannah's Mill Road?
Yeah.
Hannah's Mill Road. Well, Dr. Hannah. Who was a doctor? Who was the first person hung on the courthouse? Nope, we talked about a while ago. Who was-
Soap Sally.
Said a
Soap
woman.
Sally, that's
Oh, yeah,
correct.
Soap
He was the
Sally.
second person, and then they quit hanging people at the courthouse. He was the second. Now, tell you the story real quick, and I gotta make it out here. Dr. Hannah, during the Civil War, 1861, was a doctor. Matter of fact, he was the only doctor other than Dr. Weems. Now, would you have to come see on my ghost tour to tell you about that? I ain't gonna give it away. Okay, during the Civil War, he was the only doctor that helped out. Because if you ever go to a place called the Rock, Georgia, if you look, there's 3 Alabama houses to the right, big old houses. He lived in the second one. Less than 600 feet behind him was the only part of the Civil War that was fought in our area, other than Double Bridges Road and Spur Bluff. Upson County got a lot of history. Now, if you go down the Rock Road and look to the left, you'll see a Confederate graveyard. There's only 12 graves there. If you go to the cemetery I do my ghost tours, there are 72 graves. And that's where them graves come from, was from the Rock, Georgia. They were all killed and mutilated there. Cannonballs just tore their people to death. Now, go back to Devil's Playground. Right there off of Jeff Davis Road. This place is an old plantation. Where Circle K is up on the highway, and a little bit further, that's where their property went all the way back. That's how big this place was. Anybody know what they grew then? There's 3 things. One was,
Cotton.
there you go. The second one was, huh? Nope, nope.
Tobacco.
Nope,
Tobacco.
Thanks. Who said that? Pecans, there you go. That's number 2. You will never guess what the third thing was. When I read this, I was like, what? Salt. Yeah, didn't know that? Oh yeah, you grow salt. It comes like, almost like a leaf. And it just comes in like a little pouch that grows over like a cocoon. But when you open it up, it's formed and it's black. That's what salt. When you get eyes on salt, it's bleached. That's the reason why they tell you not to eat salt, because it's really bad for you. Okay. Now, 3 things that was grown there. where the house that I used to live in, there was a tree that was almost like the hanging tree, and it was enormous. So, here we go. Dr. Hanna went crazy in 1862. The reason why he was on there, right in front of it, is the world famous Old Alabama Road. Old Alabama Road goes all the way to south side of Alabama and goes all the way to Wisconsin. And people do not know that. Now, don't get me wrong, it goes like this, but it ain't just a straight shot. But it goes a long way. Matter of fact, 3 presidents have traveled down there. One of the presidents, well, 2 of the presidents was assassinated. Garfield and Lincoln come down that road. Ain't that crazy? And the other one was, anyway, 3 presidents come down that road, and they've done, so now it's famous.
McKinley?
No, it was 1800s. So anyway, in front of this house, where that was the stagecoach road. It went right in front of this house that we're talking about, right in front of Old Alabama Road. So if you need to get your horses fed, get a little water, take a little break, when they come through there, talked about it a few minutes ago, when they had Union soldiers on there, they had been wounded. So the doc decided, okay, I'll take care of them. You think he's gonna take care of them? He mean Yanks. You know what he done? This is a big house. Ladies and gentlemen, this place is a big house. Everybody ever seen the TV show Ghost Hunters? They're wanting to come there. The guy won't give them permission to come. But it's already in the archives because you can go there and see the pictures of it. So, here we go. He decides he just don't want to put up with these Yanks. He ain't gonna do it. So what does he do? He sticks them up there. Every once in a while, throw a tray of food up there. Now, that's what happened on the property. Now, up in the attic, as the archives have, you can see fingernail marks in there. This is Tom, blah, 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 1862. This is 1863. There were people that were living up there over a year. Well, 1863, the same year that I was sheriff, he went crazy. And when I say he went nuts, he went nuts. His wife was named Miss, anyway, his wife was named Miss Mary. His son was named Cody. That was it. Remember that little jail I told y'all about that's over there? Let's go a little bit forward. He went crazy. Inside this living room is a big bar of wood that comes across in this old Alabama mansion. This place is beautiful. Still beautiful to this day. Now, he went crazy, went outside, grabbed him a nice rope, took his wife over there, decided to throw her over the neck, and she hadn't done nothing wrong with her in that living room. Son, Mr. Cody, decided he went out there trying to figure out what happened to his mom. They said that there was a large indention in his head when they done the autopsy before they put him in the ground. So I guess he popped him in the head with something, they ain't gonna tell him what. And then when he popped him in the head, he walked back out there and grabbed another rope, and there's a whale behind that house. Anybody know what he done? He hung him in the whale. Now, when they did finally found the body, it was the wife's brother who showed up and actually found out what was going on. Looked inside the dining room, and there's her sister hanging in there in the room. Can you imagine? That was 2 days later. Now, before then, you go to the creek at 10 Mile Creek on Jeff Davis as you hit it. If you look to the right, there is a stone wall right there. There's about 62 slaves that lost their life there when they were building that bridge, that dam. They thought the cement had settled, but it didn't. They were putting up a few rocks, and the whole thing fell and killed every one of them. Most of them drowned it or what. Can you imagine them stones falling on you? Them stones are thick. Now, they said on a good September night, there's been witnesses saying that they keep hearing things that sounds like several times of the night. I can imagine it's probably their souls trying to figure out what's happened when they drowned it or whether the stones killed them. That's number one. Number two, if you turn the curve on Hannah's Mill Road, there is a corn mill. Anybody ever seen that old corn mill right now? Anyway, so he took them and a few of these other slaves. The house I told you I used to live in, there's a tree back there that's huge. What did he do? about 6 on one limb, 6 on the other, 6 or 7 on the other, and hung like 15 of his slaves in that one tree. He went nuts. Well, his brother-in-law finally found him, called the sheriff, took him to the jail until we made further notice, and that was on Jeff Davis Road. He sat there for 3 days. No water, no food, who cares? You know. Now, here's the bad part about this. When they went to the house and went looking, there was more deaths in there because there were slave people that worked for him. He killed everybody. He went nuts. And after this found out the sheriff had enough, that was me. Said, we ain't gonna deal with this crap. Went over there and grabbed him, took him to the courthouse. They didn't even, usually they'll go and say, we're gonna have a trial. They didn't need a trial. He even told them he killed him. And here's the thing, they hadn't even went to the attic yet. And they said there was over 15 bodies just laying up there dead. Can you imagine the smell of that place? Good Lord. Now, we talked about this a while ago. When they was on that stagecoach, where did you think they were taking it?
Or to Andersonville?
There you go. So these people were supposed to go to Andersonville. I don't know if the doc done them a favor or not, because they're probably going to die either way. You know, you got 100,000 people that was in troops, and only what, 10,000 of them lived? 90-something thousand is buried out there. Do you understand how many people that is? 90,000.
That's almost Sanford Stadium. There's
Yes.
96 in
Yes.
Sanford.
Do you understand? So that's what's buried just in that one set of property, and that's not including other parts. Andersonville is considered the number 2 haunted place in the United States. And everybody know what number 1 is? It probably is. They just ain't never listened.
That's what she said.
Now, no.
Milledgeville Mental
Well,
Hospital.
that's number 4. That is number 4. That's good. That's good. Number 1. It's the biggest battle that was ever fought in the United States.
Gettysburg.
Thank you. People, you've never been there. It's like I said about Andersonville. You cannot see the human eye of all the graves. It's twice as bad in Gettysburg. You ever been to Gettysburg? Oh, it'll make you cry. You just stand there going, oh. It is horrible how brother versus brother, just because some old gold bars and somebody got pissed off about some cotton. Crazy, is it not? Now, here we go. So he went and took it to the courthouse. They hung him. You understand? Now, let's move on to 2007. I still lived in that same house at that time. My son, Gage, was 9 years old. His friend, Upson, that lived down the road from him, was 9 years old. They went to school together. Don't go too far. You're going to miss this one.
Sorry,
I know. Get your bladder right. Let's go. I might give her a cut. I gotta finish. So anyway, here we go. My son decides to tell me, Daddy, I want to tell you something. So we're gonna back up 50 years. My father went to Outwater School. It's right down the road from where all this is at. Him and the whole neighborhood used to walk to school. They didn't take no bus. If they did, it was one of them little old buses that probably broke down 90% of the time. They usually just walked to school. It ain't but about half a mile. They went there. One particular day, this gentleman walked up to Mr. Miller and his brother and all 3, my 2 uncles and my dad, and wanted to know about the old house over there. But nobody had lived in it. You gotta understand, there's no electricity in this house at that time. Okay? None. Wanted to know if there's any way possible that to find a good young man to come over and clean that yard up and do a few things. And anyway, Mr. McCullough was with him, told him, he said, I don't want to go over. I've always heard that place is haunted. My daddy and Jerry Posey decided to go, oh yeah, we'll go over there. Well, they went over there. It was blocked up. They couldn't do anything with the house. But they went out there and raked the yard. And he said, look under the rock and your money will be there. There was no money. They raked that yard obviously for free. You know. Now, we're going to go back to where my son is 9 years old. Being that he's 9 years old, him and his friend was out there playing in the front yard. Matter of fact, they was throwing balls and catching it with the catcher's mitt. All of a sudden, my dad, he called me. I was in the backyard working on the lawnmower. I walked back to the back, Daddy, and Austin come up and said, Mr. Joey, oh, we're gonna make us some money today. What are you talking about? He said, this old man come up here, wanted to know if we could come over and clean up the old house over there. I said, ain't nobody living in that house. He said, well, he took, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. I was like, what? He said, yeah. He said he went. And I said, no, y'all not going over there. And little Austin said, y'all always heard that place was haunted. And my son says, I don't know. So all of a sudden, it hit me. My father lived less than a mile down the road. I put both of them in the truck, took him to my dad's house and started telling him something. He said, come here, son. He walks in there, and my dad told you is a big historian. Walks in there, and there's a book about Upson County. He walks over there and said, boys, come here. He set the book down, turned it over, and before he even turned the page, little Austin said, Mr. Frank, there's that man right there.
That makes me scared.
And he says, it can't be. He said, that is him. And my dad almost started crying because he was so scared. He was holding the book like this. This is a true story, people. He's sitting there holding it, and he said, I said, Daddy, what is it? He said, that's him. That's the man that come up to him and asked him to clean the house. Now, it's his grandson that's done the same thing. My daddy told him, you do not ever go over there, never. And he says, you gotta remember, they're young. They're like, what? And when when little Austin said that's him, and he says, and then he looked down and said, deceased, 1863, Upson County. And it was Dr. Ham. Ladies and gentlemen, don't think there ain't things that go spook in the night. You're wrong. I can prove it. When you come to my tour, we have people that walk around and tell you things. I have a lady that does a little wedding dress that walks up there where we tell a story about during the Civil War how somebody got killed and she was supposed to get married, and so she decided to kill herself. But you can see at night, you can see the girl walking in there where the grave's at. We have a young lady who plays the part, and she's walking, and all the kids are like, oh my God, you know, and we're doing it. So the lady who's doing the medium woman said, I have something to show y'all. She said, it's sad, but it's scary at the same time. Well, we've been doing this tour for a while, and the lady that's doing the wedding dress, she's got a bouquet of flowers, and she's got her little red light for it. She looks scary. And then she takes a right, and she has to go right by this particular grave. Well, this woman says she can talk to the dead, and I think she's true, because she's, like I told y'all earlier, she scares me. She really, really scares me, because I don't want to hear this crap. Okay? So she tells me, she said, I want to show you something. She took a picture of it. Now we sent it to Augusta to make sure it got LLC, because I own the company. We have an official picture of a real ghost. There is a man, this is so sad, a man standing in front of his grave while this girl's walking by, and he's got a bouquet of flowers in front of him. Now, is he there just because he's lonely? Or is it just because it's just scary as hell? We don't know, but we own the rights to that picture. Guys, if y'all ever get a chance, we'll be there October 28th in Thomaston at 8 o'clock at night, walking through the graveyards, and we go to the courthouse, and I'm going to show you what happened that night of October the 13th, today of 1863, when the sheriff walked out with that prisoner, and there was 8 guys on the other side waiting for him. We do y'all a live shootout right there in the middle of the street of Thomaston. The police department blocks the roads off for us, and we do a live shootout for you. If you're interested, get in touch with Miss Mary. She can give you a number to call or text and let me know you're coming. This reservation's on. So, and love to have you if you can walk. You know what I'm saying, that far. But the thing about it is, it's not that far. You know what I'm saying? Because if you walk to the graveyard, you can take your car to the courthouse. Yeah. But I'm sure you're running.
Y'all give Joey a